Hello book readers, this is the B-Side Book Reviews, and today we are going to look at Philip Wylie's Opus 21. I have no idea where I got this book. It just happened to be on my bookshelf, and if it's on your bookshelf, you have to read it. It's the law. I can't see my mom reading a book like this, so it must be something Margot had. I don't know. Okay, right on the back here, it talks a little bit about the book, which is kind of cool. It gives the location, a fashionable New York hotel. The time, today. Well, considering the copyright on this book was 1949, I'm guessing it's not today, or yesterday, or last week, like a long time ago. And the way the book looks, I'm guessing maybe whoever bought it back in 1949, because it is like hemorrhaging all over my table. Like a book hemorrhages. Little pieces of paper are everywhere. Anyway. Spoiler alert, let's see if I can say that. Spoiler alert. Not very high on this one, mainly because there's just not a whole lot of plot to spoil one. So anyway, I love the way the little critical, I guess, critics like view here on the cover here states, Opus 21 is that stimulating as that mixture known to alcoholics as the drink to end all drinks. Wow. So, grab your favorite drink and let's talk about Opus 21. The drink to end all drinks, apparently. Writer Philip Wylie, a very successful writer by the way, spends a weekend in some swanky New York hotel to write on something, yes, something. Something that apparently slips my mind at the moment. Yes, Philip has this peaceful weekend away from the wife all planned out. He's just gonna hang out in the big city in some fancy hotel to write. Yeah, still can't remember what. Regardless of what he's writing, the weekend sounds pretty cool, huh? Now, our story starts out with Philip meeting up with a doctor friend for a little catching up and examination. How's the wife in writing going, Philip? By the way, there's a possibility you may have throat cancer. And there's a pretty good chance it could be fatal. Good to see you, though. Next time you're in town, we'll have to take in a Mets game. Might not want to wait too long, though. Now, I should have the results on whether you're going to live or die by this Monday. In the meantime, have a great weekend. So, what's Philip to do after he learns that he just might have fatal throat cancer? Well, he lights up a cigarette, of course. Then he goes to the swanky hotel's restaurant and starts hitting on the first chick he sees. Yes, Yvonne is her name, and she's this hot dame who's dealing with a few issues of her own. Yes, she is in town trying to decide if her marriage is over or not. Yeah, it seems that she's a bit perplexed because she caught her husband in the greenhouse with some dude, apparently doing a little more than just watering the petunias. Of course, she's spilling this all out to some guy she just met. Oh yes, dying or not, Philip is quite the smooth operator, and suddenly has the poor distraught fragile damsel eating right out of the palm of his hand. Now, thinking his days might be numbered, Philip has a date with the vulnerable young lass. Nothing serious, though, and certainly not worth mentioning to the wife back home, or apparently even remembering that he does have a wife back home. Oh, cut him some slack, though. Philip may be dying here. Sometimes you just have to go for the gusto. I'm telling you. Of course, Yvonne isn't the only one in town to hang out with our hero. Philip's young nephew, Paul, the local New York City physicist, who just happens to have worked on the atom bomb, stops by to philosophize a little with his uncle. Yes, they shoot the intellectual and philosophical bull about life and physics. But Paul has bigger news for his uncle. He's in love, and he wants Philip to meet his beloved Marcy. Oh, by the way, Marcy is a whore. And we don't mean she's just some broad with loose morals and a bad attitude. Nope. Marcy is the real deal. An honest to gosh, genuine, trained professional. So, what do we have here? Our hero Phil thinks he might be dying, and he's launching into the weekend fling with some slightly turned on chick who just so happens has moved into the hotel room right next to his. And now he has to go meet his nephew's hooker girlfriend, Marcy. So what's the guy to do? Well, he visits the local brothel, of course. That's a no-brainer. Now, although Phil does not partake in the fruits of the establishment, he seems to know the place way too well just to be an innocent observer. Now, he does meet up with some hot hussy named Gwen, who comes back to his room, just for a social call, mind you. Now, Phil doesn't touch her, but she does disappear into Yvonne's room right next door for the night. Now, I guess after Yvonne has caught her husband doing the dirty with some guy, she's thinking, everything might be fair play now. So, while that's going on, some preacher friend of Phil's father comes a-calling, and he and Philip have this heated discussion, which sends the preacher leaving the room, muttering a few four-letter unholy words. Then, Phil's nephew Paul returns, pissed as hell, because his hooker honey Marcy has left him and returned to her brothel. Now, believe it or not, this was the same brothel that Philip was visiting. Wow. Coincidence? Now, regardless, Paul the physicist is quite distraught that Marcy, the whore, is back at her chosen profession. He's so distraught that he bails out the window and stands on the outside ledge of the hotel, threatening to test the laws of gravity. Now, in the end, Yvonne goes back to her semi-gay husband. Paul is put into a mental hospital. And guess what? Philip finds out, well, he's going to live after all. Funny all the things that can happen during a weekend in New York City. Now, I still don't remember what Philip was supposed to be writing. Then again, at this point, do we really care? I have some seriously mixed emotions about this book. Now, the story itself was fine, but Philip tends to run off at the mouth a bit. Not just a bit, but a whole freaking lot. There are just pages and pages and pages of dismal crap about his feelings on politics, religion, sex, and even physics. Now, if I want this kind of dreary stuff, I'll just click on Facebook or listen to public radio. Now, the critic review on the back of the cover states, a shocking story that cracks like a bullwhip. Seriously? The only whip I can think of when I was reading this was when I whipped my head back up trying to stay awake while I was dozing off. Well, I'm awake. Kind of reminds me of my DC circuits classes in college. Oh, I'm awake. Like what? Ooh. Now this book was written in first person, which I'm never really that crazy about as far as novels are concerned. However, the main character in our book was Philip Wylie, who was actually the author of the book. So, that's kind of cool and kind of self-explanatory. Now I wonder if that's what Philip was really going to write about New York City. He was just going to New York City to write about whatever happened that weekend. Because let's face it, it's New York City. Something's probably going to happen. Whoa, a story about writing the story. Wow, that's so interdimensional. A bit of literary 3D perspective, so to speak. Now, doesn't that sound all deep and erudite? Erudite? Where did that come from? Now, the story about Philip's weekend and all the problems he faced was kind of interesting. But the book just gets so bogged down with all the philosophies, the physics, and other deep thinking, cultivated crap that it just becomes a tiresome bore. Oh yes, I know that's supposed to be the riveting, whip-cracking, ferocious assault on life, love, and other stuff part of it. Yeah, whatever. It bored the hell out of me. And what's up with this title, Opus? Isn't Opus like the big penguin out of the Bloom County comic strip? Yeah, Opus, the big penguin, Opus. Bloom County, boom, yeah. Okay, this book was around, like 380 pages. Actually, 386, which is a lot of pages for one weekend, regardless how wild it was. Now, if all the ferocious assault on life, love, lust, sex, and civilization, and everything else that the book cover implies was in this story, in other words, all the boring as hell crap would have been kept down to a minimum, or better yet, just kind of left out altogether. And the book probably would have been, I don't know, how about, 56 pages? Oh, we can do better than that. Let's see. How about 190? Okay, we'll go with that. 190. Philip Wylie strikes me as the kind of guy I'd probably like to hang out with and maybe have a drink with. However, I'm afraid as our conversation would go on, I'd probably want to break a chair over his head or something. Yeah, he seemed a bit egotistical and overly opinionated. Unlike people who criticize books, of course. However, there was one really good line in this book that stuck with me. A line that all married men should keep in their mental file cabinet. Now, it was Yvonne or Gwen or one of those girls, I can't remember which one, but it was one of the chicks in the stories who was flirting with Philip. When he blew her off, she told him that his wife Ricky must be quite a woman. Philip simply replied, "She's my woman." Ooh, cool answer. Now, everyone else in the book was kind of stale. It was a collection of a lawyer, a doctor, a madam, a hooker, a couple of hookers, a preacher, and a physicist. Yeah, just your average folks in a fancy New York City hotel, thus making quite the opus. Opus. Okay, that's usually used in music, but we'll use it here. Opus. Okay, so that was Opus 21. Read it for yourself and see what you think. Actually, I don't think it would make a bad movie. A low-budget movie. Not a blockbuster, maybe Netflix. But I don't think it would make a bad movie. I might actually even watch it. And the more I do this, the more it's hemorrhaging all over my table. Gee, I'm going to have to take a vacuum cleaner to all this before Margot comes home and freaks out. Now, I'm just not so sure about the cracking like a bullwhip or even the alcoholic drink to the end all drinks. If you want that, how about the bar book? 450 pages of drinks to end all drinks. You can read this. You can read this. I don't care. Just go read a book while I clean this mess up.